Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary of Light Meditations and the Light Institute Meditations on Sundays. And I'm so happy that we have modern technology and that we can do this together even if we can't be in the same physical space. For those of you that are perhaps joining this meditation for the first time, we divide it into 3 parts. In the first part, we ask our divine higher self to take form. The higher self is your own inner voice. It's the intuitive essence of the soul, so that you can align to that when you meditate. We forget that we're divine beings. We forget that we have wisdom, that we have love, that we will survive. And this is why meditation is so important. So when we ask the higher self to take form, it could be any form for you, and that form will change every time you meditate and ask your higher self. It could be a light, a being, an animal, a tree, an equation. It makes no difference. And so we'll ask it to take form, we'll ask it to touch our bodies, to align our physical consciousness to these higher frequencies, and then we sit in meditation. I will make a very short om sound, and at that point you can push a button on your computer or your apparatus so that you can continue to meditate as long as you wish. Then the second part of the meditation, we practice what we call at the Light Institute, the art of radiance, by drawing white light from the cosmos down through the top of our head and lasering it out from us. This stretches out our electromagnetic field, our auric field, so that it amplifies our presence and allows us to wield that sense of purpose. And so we draw that in and we radiate it out, and we just continue that flow as we sit in meditation. Again, a short om. And the third part of the meditation, each week we pick a situation on a global nature that we extend light to, so that we are in fact activating part of the purpose of our lives. It really uplifts us, to say nothing of the gift that we give to the world through focusing our consciousness. This week, let us send that light to all the people that are testing positive of COVID-19, that it's easy for them, that perhaps they never even experience it, but that they are not afraid of it. A frequency of light that they need from you that will help them to not be afraid. It's not a death sentence, and to really feel that their immune system is strong enough to just carry them through. And that will help us to make sure that people are not so affected by this and all the other viruses and things that are out there. Are you ready? Close your eyes. Take a deep breath into your body and breathe out very slowly. And now ask your higher self, the intuitive essence of your soul, to take a form for you, any form. Take the first flicker that comes to you. Now ask your higher self to touch your body where you hold your divine essence at this moment. And just imagine that you're being touched anywhere in your body. Focus, imagine that touch, and breathe in to that touch, so that the touch of your higher self is really awakening in you a connection, an awareness, a cognition of your own divine essence. And now draw your higher self into your body and sit in meditation as your own true soul self. Om. Breathe deeply into your body. Reach up into your consciousness, with your consciousness into the cosmos, and imagine a beam of beautiful white light penetrating through the top of your brain, your head, down into your solar plexus, your stomach, and from there laser that beam out. You can laser it across the planet or just way out from you, stretching out your auric field and back out and up through the sky and into the cosmos. Pull down that light again and just continue that patterning of pulling the light down and radiating it out. This is a way of amplifying your presence in the world, your energy here, your radiance. So draw it down, laser it out, and feel in your body how that extending out of energy quickens you, lifts you. Take a deep breath into your body and bring all of those who have tested positive or have coronavirus into your mind's eye and ask them what frequency of light they need from you to amplify the power of their immune systems, to release the fear of this, to pass through this virus, to conquer this virus, maybe with no symptoms or few symptoms, that they can trust their body. Our bodies know how to fight this. Our bodies know how to make us healthy. So what is the color they need from you to become fearless and immune to COVID-19 and other energies? Take the first color that comes into your consciousness, and again, reach up into the cosmos. Draw that color down from you, through the top of your head, extend it out from your solar plexus, your stomach, laser it out to all of those people for whom this theme of this virus is impinging upon them at this moment. And allow that color, which is the cosmic language of communication, the color they ask for from you, to be sent directly into them, each and all. And continue to feel the power of calling that light in through you and to them until you feel a shift. Feel as if they're receiving it, if it's quickening them, if it's freeing them, it's releasing them, supporting them. So just continue that part of the meditation. Take a deep breath into your body and open your eyes. Thank you for your gift of meditating. Remember that when you meditate, it supports you. When you meditate, it supports the world. You're going to be hearing a lot of thundering and lightning that's going on around, because we've been calling the rain here in New Mexico, and we are having it day after today, and it's wonderful. The second part of our Sunday meditation is called Knowings, and it's a question and answer. It's an idea that allows us to touch on themes that are important to us, and then to feel uplifted by looking at those themes. And as we are uplifted, knowing that that uplifts everyone else who is also listening or looking at this part of Knowings on YouTube. So anytime there's a question in your hearts, you can send that to the Light Institute, and we will endeavor to place it in our Knowing section. And so now, again, let us hear what is in your hearts this week. Allison will read me the 2 questions that we have today. Allison?
The first question comes from California, the USA. Chris, do you think when someone experiences profound grief, they continue to carry this grief, and that their emotional body continues to attract situations that cause grief, like an addiction?
That's a sort of very deep kind of conversation. I'll try to give you a brief answer to that. Grief, of course, is a very natural experience. And in fact, our religions and our cultures have said to us, if we love someone, we will grieve them. But that's not really a high spiritual recognition. But when somebody feels profound grief, it depends on whether they continue that grief. And certainly what happens when you grieve is that you do set up pathways, biological, chemical pathways that trigger a repetition of that. So what happens is that every time something associates to that person or that animal or anybody that's related to that sense of grief, it will trigger a reacting and a repetitive feeling of grief. Of course, that person who is gone from their body, the soul, never dies. And so they really, and I have spoken to many spirits, they really don't want you to grieve. We truly grieve for ourselves. That's one of the reasons we feel the grief, that we have been left, that maybe we haven't had a chance to finish our conversations, that we feel guilty. That adds to grief as well, this kind of negative heaviness. And then we cut ourselves off from living our lives and being joyous. So the most important answer to this question is, how can we free ourselves from grief? And the most important way that we can do that is something that I always do when I am officiating ceremonies of passage, which is to hold in your consciousness, ask yourself, what is the quality that I most love in that person? That brought them to my heart, that allowed me to be in sync or in joy with them or to connect with them. Whatever that quality, maybe it's humor, maybe it's lovingness, kindness, creativity, intelligence, whatever it was. If you focus on that, one of the things that's a cosmic law of energy is that you will inherit psychogenetically that quality. And that's the way they live on. So to grieve, cut yourself off from inheriting these parts, these elements that made them important to you. So rather than hang out with the negative and make your life sad and disconnected and not representing the power of being in body, you are still here. They are free. They are free. They are not suffering. We want to send them into the light, and you can look at those things in some of my books, how we send people into the light. But if you begin to say, oh, I love the way they did this or this quality that they had, it will lift you from the grieving. So every time you think of them and you feel this heaviness, replace that with the joy and the gift they were in your life. And know that when somebody leaves our life, they leave because we are ready to take on those energies, to live on, and to add their qualities to our own so that our life becomes richer, not less rich. And so I would say that we want to release ourselves from those imprints that love really means that you will beat your breast and be sorry for the rest of your life. No, that they pass. Take that as a message to you to live life and to live it well and to uphold love and to uphold those highest qualities that you saw in them. That will erase the grief. Great love. Allison, what's the next question?
The next question comes from Utah in the USA. Dear Chris, I was out the other night looking at the comet, and the lights from the nearest town, many miles away, seemed to light up our normally beautiful, dark, star-filled sky. I was surprised and so sad to see how much these lights affected the purity of the night. What happens to us when something unnatural invades the natural rhythm of nature, like these glaring man-made lights that stay on all night?
You know, even more sorrowful than the fact that our environment is polluted by that is our own participation in that. Many people have an inherent fear of darkness. And parents have little lights in their children's rooms, which are not good for them. because it affects the pineal gland, which allows that circadian rhythm. When it's dark outside, we go to sleep. The earlier we go to sleep, the better we sleep. And the earlier we wake up, the more healthy we are. That's how we align to the natural energies of our planet. So one aspect, again, is our terrible fear of darkness. And so we light up our streets, we light up our homes, because we think it's going to make us safe. We're afraid of being hurt by other humans. These things are aspects that would be wonderful if our educational systems could address and release for us, that we don't have to be afraid of the dark. No saber-toothed tiger is going to get you. And you want to sleep well. So many people have trouble sleeping. I feel that these lights also intrude and influence animals like owls and nocturnal animals who use darkness to be alive, to hunt, etc. I wonder how it affects them. This is why we see so many roadkills of owls and things like that, deer, people that are four-leggeds and wingeds that are moving around at night. And the lights of our cars, the lights of our streets are impacting their own natural energies, for which we indeed are responsible. Now, again, in terms of our own bodies, we have these fabulous pineal glands that put out a hormone, put out several hormones, but one of them is melatonin, which helps us to sleep. And so if you live in a place where your yard light is flashing into your room, or street lights in a city are flashing into your room, this disturbs your hormonal balance, your endocrine system. And that disturbance actually is very, it influences in a negative way your overall health. And so, and the more that you could say to the powers that be in your community, we don't have to turn on these lights, the more you can say to your neighbors, let us turn our lights down so that they face the ground, or some other way so that we ourselves are not influenced, and those natural beings are also not influenced by those lights. I think that this is one of those things we often wonder, what can I do to make life better for my community, for my world, to protect nature? Get rid of the poison of street lights, of lights flashing through cities and over hills and around deserts that are poisoning all of us. You could participate in that. Think of creative ways that you might do it, but in the meantime, make sure there's no lights coming into your bedroom and your house. And don't be afraid of the night. It's there to be a blanket that wraps around you and allows you to move into the deepest levels of your being and to sleep well and to heal, because we heal when we sleep. Great love. Allison, the last one. By the way, you may be hearing some breath here. We have 2 dogs in our meditation sphere today because of the lightning. And so there are some other beings who are very concerned about thunder and lightning that are joining us here. Oh, Allison, what's the last question?
The final question comes from Argentina.
Oh, good.
Dear Chris, I really like your videos and your books. I would like you to talk about the pineal gland and give us some exercise of consciousness to activate it. I think its use is very important at this time, especially. Thanks, from Argentina.
Look at that. It comes right after our conversation discussing a little bit about the pineal gland. Thank you, Argentina, for that question. It is indeed important at this time for several reasons. Not only is this part of our endocrine system that produces the hormone, the melatonin, that tells us, in fact, what time it is in our life. We actually inherited this biologically from the lizards so long ago. And the third eye, the pineal gland, was in the back of their head, and it would say, it's summertime, it's wintertime, you are old, you are young. it does pretty much the same thing for us. And it hangs like a bat in the center of your brain, in the darkness of your brain. And it's very, very sensitive to light. But very importantly, the pineal gland represents what's been called in spiritual circles, and what is true, the third eye. Now, the pineal gland is made up of retinal cells. And these retinal cells are the same ones we have that help us with our peripheral vision, that allow us to see outside of the sides of our visual spectrum. And so that's why it is also known as that point of knowing. The pineal gland in spiritual terms represents our enlightened, expanded consciousness, where we have a knowing, a clarity. The pineal gland stimulates our capacity to have precognition, to be clairvoyant. Many of these beautiful spiritual qualities arise from the opening, the activation of our pineal glands. And this is why Argentina is saying this is very important at this time, because we need clarity. Our fears are not helping us. What will help us will be that we practice and stimulate and focus on activating that pineal gland, activating that capacity of knowing, so that we see a bigger hologram. We can comprehend why things happen, and above all, how we can find answers. And that's what's necessary on the planet right now, is to move ourselves from, this is impossible, how can we get through this, whatever it is for you, whether it's our global finances or our physical vulnerability to a virus or whatever that is. Our pineal gland can tell us how to proceed and what is important for us right now. And so, and by the way, some people that we call seers or psychics, tend to have that gland. That is one of the ways that they utilize this higher octave of consciousness, is because this gland is or has been opened in them, sometimes through a death experience, sometimes through an experience of a sudden enlightenment that have come to them, sometimes through meditation, sometimes they're born with this. It's available to all humans. We all have this genetic encoding, this capacity within us. So I'm going to just show you one of the most important ways to do it. That will help you if you practice it again and again. But one of the things that I would say is that become aware anytime that you say to yourself, and I know that we all do this, oh, I knew that would happen. Or I felt that. That's coming from this higher octave of our consciousness that's untethered by our emotions or our mental limitations. It's more about our true selves. First of all, we want to have a higher frequency. To have that higher frequency, meditation is the quickest way to free ourselves from the contraction and the chatter of our linear minds, and to open our hologram and expand our consciousness. The way that I like to begin meditation is by physically opening our arms and spinning around clockwise to the right. When we do that, when we spin around and spin around, it causes the two lobes of our brain to begin to pulse and sync and slow down. When they do that, they come into what's called the alpha level of consciousness, which is the level of expanded consciousness, and a deep meditation is also the level through which the body heals itself when we're sleeping. And so doing that will be a great way to then sit down. Of course, you can go ahead meditating and meditate while whatever you're doing, but sitting in meditation is a very powerful focal point for this third eye opening, for the pineal activation. Then if you take your fire finger, it's the finger of the emotional heart. It is the fire. It represents the energies of fire. And so we always use that when we want to activate a point of reference in the body, because it's the strongest laser point in. And so if you place that right in sort of the middle of your forehead, a little bit above your eyebrows, right there. And very, very lightly, because again, the pineal gland is very sensitive to everything. And if you place your finger there very lightly, and then ask your pineal gland what frequency of light it needs to open for you, and to begin to activate those qualities of precognition, of telepathy, of clairvoyance, all of those, even bilocation, higher energies of perception. And then just feel, what is the color? By the way, when you put your finger there, you may begin to feel a pressure or even a little headache. That's because there is an activation going on. The pineal gland is responding. So again, very lightly the finger, what is the color that it chooses? Again, any color, not gray, it could be silver but not gray, which is dying, or black, which is not a color. Any color. So whatever color you get, then you're going to suck it in through your fire finger directly into your pineal gland with that command, with that energy, that the pineal gland is open, it is ready to show you its powers, its information, the knowing that comes, the illumination of it. So you just breathe in and imagine that this pineal gland is opening like the lotus, any way you want to imagine it, but that it is opening, it's bringing forth the wisdom and the purpose. Just do that for a few minutes until you really feel that there's an expansion of that particular frequency of light. And then just open your eyes. Each time you do that exercise, it'll ask for a different color, a color that represents the energies that are moving in and around the pineal gland at any time. One of the things that we know is that when the kundalini rushes up the back and comes, it rests in the pineal gland. And that's why it opens that sense of purpose and knowing. And this is another reason that it's so important, as you're saying, Argentina, for us to open at this time. To give ourselves the peripheral vision on the outside in the third dimension, and in the spiritual, deeper energies, the most profound recognition of our life's purpose. This begins to happen usually around 16 to 18 in there, but again, it could happen anytime, and it's very important for us to know that we have access to information, to energies, to higher vibrations, to peace, to the answers to our questions. And they're right there, awaiting our activation. So I hope that you will all practice that again and again, and acknowledge and look for when you have an awareness that you were aware of something and it came true, or that your intuition is expanding. All of these wonderful aspects that are reflecting who you truly are. Great love to you all. Until next Sunday.